New questions have been raised about Donald Trump's relationship with his 35-year-old aide, Natalie Harp, after new details have emerged, and it's very weird. So, for example, she once spent a summer sleeping in the locker room at Trump's Bedminster Club to remain close to him after she was denied a room. Weird stuff. She attends Oval Office meetings with Trump, she posts from his social media accounts, and carries a portable printer for his favorite stories. She even once wrote him a letter and said, "You are all that matters to me." And Trump has apparently said, "She'll never leave me." Ugh.
Why is a little-known White House aide coming up on the 2026 campaign trail?
See, he doesn't want to do the job. He wants to build his ballroom and travel with Natalie on their apparently defenseless flying palace.
That's Senator Jon Ossoff of Georgia taking a swing at Natalie Harp, President Trump's executive assistant, and it clearly struck a nerve here at the White House.
Jon Ossoff said you'd rather travel with your aide, Natalie Harp, and build the ballroom than do your job as president. What is your response, Jon Ossoff?
You mean Pee Wee Herman? Pee Wee Herman lookalike?
And the White House press shop had fired back at Ossoff earlier Monday, with communications director Stephen Chung calling Ossoff the biggest cuck loser in politics, and White House spokesman Davis Ingle casting the senator as a cringeworthy feminine theater kid. That name-calling underscores how Natalie Harp has emerged as one of the president's most trusted personal aides and informational gatekeepers. She frequently accompanies him on weekend trips to Mar-a-Lago and his Bedminster, New Jersey golf club. And when Trump snuck out of Air Force One to board a smaller aircraft in Turkey last month due to that threat from Iran, Harp was one of a small handful of aides who joined him. Harp first got on Trump's radar back in 2019 when she shared her story of living with bone cancer and surviving a catastrophic health incident. She credited his right to try policy. Harp went on to secure prominent speaking roles, both at conservative conventions and in conservative media, soon becoming the president's personal assistant in 2022. The New York Times has reported on a number of letters Harp sent Trump in 2023 that unnerved people around him. "You are all that matters to me," she said in one, according to the Times. "I want to bring you joy," she said in another. Today, Harp follows Trump around with a printer, and the president dictates many of his social media posts and text messages through her, offering her a position of influence through proximity.
Obama is striking hard on Donald Trump, and whenever they ask him about his closeness with Natalie Harp, he's saying fake news. See how Trump is blasting a CNN journalist called Christina.
Did he ask you specifically to scale back on those? Did he ask you specifically to scale back on those?
Quiet. You're very disrespectful in front of this young man. Okay? Don't you find her disrespectful? He understands. Quiet. Who are you with?
I'm with CNN.
Fake news.
I just wanted to follow up on the South Korea question.
You're a loud, boisterous person. You're fake news.
I was trying to find out if you had been talking to Kim Jong-un, if he had asked you to scale back on those military exercises.
Mr. President, is there...
I was trying to find out if you had been talking to Kim Jong-un, if he had asked you to scale back on those military exercises.
Who is this person? It kind of looks like Ivanka Trump. I was very interested in that. Well, we did some research around her. It turns out her name is Natalie Harp. She's been in Trump's orbit for about 5 years. And the Secret Service is worried about the relationship the president has with this 33-year-old woman. And there has been reporting that they are perhaps having a secret affair.
Anything that moves!
Now, we actually have letters that have been passed around between Trump, the legal team, and his staff, and it has been met with bewilderment. Just listen to this. This is Natalie Harp. After going through all the self-analysis, my conclusion, I need to reunite my past self with the current into a better version who will make you proud. And please, when I fail, will you tell me? You have the absolute right to cuss me out if you need be, when I deserve it, because no one knows or cares about me more. Thank you for always being there for me. I'll never forget when you made that promise to me after losing my dad. I know how happy he is right now that I did get to go to Scotland and Ireland, as he always wanted for me. To modify a classic quote, I could not have parted with you to anyone less worthy. And I will add, it is I who is unworthy. She is writing that to Trump. P.S. My hands looked worse in Scotland and Ireland because the cold turns the old, quote, scars purple, still on the road to recovery.
Donald Trump's human printer, Natalie Harp, just became a major talking point for the midterm elections. Yes, people refer to her as Donald Trump's human printer, but other people say there's something else going on there. We know that Donald Trump and Natalie Harp were hiding in a catering container when Donald Trump rushed off Old Air Force One at the end of the NATO summit in Turkey in order to run away and hide after he believed that he and Natalie may be targets of an Iranian assassination attempt, because that's what Netanyahu told Donald Trump. But now, Democratic Senator Jon Ossoff, the senator of the great state of Georgia, just did an incredible campaign rally in Atlanta where he brought up Natalie Harp. Yes, Senator Ossoff went there and he said the thing about Donald Trump, he doesn't give a crap about the American people. Not one iota about the American people. All Donald Trump wants to do is take and do his insider stock trading and run away with Natalie in these catering containers while the American people suffer. Here is Natalie Harp as she's leaving Air Force One, returning from Bedminster with Donald Trump. You can see her there with 2 laptops and 2 phones right there. Senator Ossoff at his speech in Atlanta brought the house down. May I say, he's looking awfully presidential right now. I know he's got a Senate campaign to run. He's running against MAGA Republican extremist Mike Collins, and Ossoff just obliterated Collins during this rally. I'll show you what he said about Collins as well, but I do want to mention that Ossoff is looking awfully presidential. But here he is doing this incredible speech and saying, yeah, Donald Trump just wants to go away and be with his Natalie. Here, play this clip.
And while the sailors on the Lincoln fight his war, while he fruitlessly drains our munitions and oil reserves, the president sleeps through his meetings. He golfs and trades stocks. See, he doesn't want to do the job. He wants to build his ballroom and travel with Natalie on their apparently defenseless flying palace gifted by the Emir of Qatar.
Told ya. Senator Ossoff over here then talks about how the Trump regime made the American people pay more for everything and took us to war on lies. Here, play this clip.
Now remember, he promised to lower prices on day one. You remember that? And I want
executive assistant to Trump. Her literal role is to follow him around and assist him wherever necessary. And because she's young and a female, the internet has conspired that there must be something going on affair-wise, yet there's absolutely no proof of it. She's just a high-up female assistant, and Jon Ossoff is playing into the sexist lie. It's a weird relationship. New York Times reporters in 2024 reported that Harp would write Trump letters saying, quote, "You are all that matters to me," and thanking him for being her, quote, guardian and protector in this life. She would leave these letters in his private spaces, which even alarmed Trump aides and the Secret Service. And Trump reportedly told aides Harp loved him as much as his wife and children, and that, quote, "She'll never leave me." Out of context quotes from unseen letters, come on, but it is true that Harp was diagnosed with a rare and terminal bone cancer in 2015, and in 2018, Trump signed the right to try, which allows terminally ill patients access to drugs not yet approved by the FDA, and she claims this law saved her life. The Washington Post did a deep dive and found, one, the treatment she had was already FDA approved for a different disease, but doctors decided to use it off-label on her, which has been legal for decades, and 2, she started the treatment 2 months before Trump signed right to try, so that law had nothing to do with her treatment. For some reason, she spreads this lie that he saved her life when he didn't. Whether or not her understanding is completely accurate of the technicalities of which policies allowed her to defeat her terminal illness is irrelevant to the fact that Democrats who claim to be feminists are out here sexualizing and assuming something must be going on because a female has a role close to the president. Jon Ossoff said nothing about an affair or sexualizing it, but it has been reported that even Trump's chief of staff, Susie Wiles, was alarmed by Harp's personal devotion to Trump. Her work goes beyond office hours, and she's reportedly the fuel behind his late-night Truth Social antics. She also spent a summer sleeping in the locker room at Trump's Bedminster Golf Club to remain close to him after she was denied a room. I see a devoted staffer, and if this was a 60-year-old man doing this, you would see the same, but because it's a young female, your sexism comes out. It's a relationship that has even brought up questions to people in the administration, so it's fair for people on the outside to ask the same. Your implicit biases are showing. Bro, she said to Trump, "You are all that matters to me." Out of context. No!
This is what she said about Wayne and how she met Donald Trump.
Good afternoon. The lies linking me with the disgraceful Jeffrey Epstein need to end today. The individuals lying about me are devoid of ethical standards, humility, and respect. I do not object to their ignorance, but rather I reject their mean-spirited attempts to defame my reputation. I never been friends with Epstein. Donald and I were invited to the same parties as Epstein from time to time, since overlapping in social circles is common in New York City and Palm Beach. To be clear, I never had a relationship with Epstein or his accomplice, Maxwell. My email reply to Maxwell cannot be categorized as anything more than casual correspondence. My polite reply to her email doesn't amount to anything more than a trivial note. I am not Epstein's victim. Epstein did not introduce me to Donald Trump. I met my husband by chance at a New York City party in 1998. This initial encounter with my husband is documented in detail in my book, Melania.
It just feels a little off. I'm not buying it. I still think he's dead as a doorknob, if you're asking me. So weird. And that's not the only weird thing that's been going down today, because we also now have a new drop from Trump's diaper caddy. Yes. Bribe Force One, getting off of it. And who do we see in the background? Natalie Harp, his mistress, lover, the woman who, where did she sleep in the locker room on his property at one point? That's how desperado she was. So gross, but pretty crazy that Melania couldn't even be bothered to show up at the White House Correspondents' Dinner reboot this weekend. She just can't stand being around Trump, which is the most relatable thing about her. So shout out to her for that. But unfortunately, she's still deeply complicit in this administration and all the horror. A lot of people are looking at this diaper caddy video. They're looking at this Mitch McConnell proof of life hostage photo. And they're thinking, okay, a lot of people trying to prove a lot of something. And that's surely one way to interpret it. But now it's time for the interesting part. So I got to show you what Caroline was doing around the same time this video came out.
Peacefully. In Jesus. Let's do this.
Preach. There she is, praying, leading a group prayer before heading out to help Donnie Dump cover up the Schmepstein files, just as Jesus, the good Lord, would have wanted.
Natalie Harp, she is a very young, beautiful woman whose job is to follow Trump around with a printer to print positive articles and nice things people are saying about him.
Trump will hardly read anything unless it's printed out by Natalie and handed to him.
Apparently people are saying that she's unfireable because she is so loyal to Trump. If Trump wants to send out one of his controversial tweets, he'll tell her to do it. And of course, that gets done right away without any, "Are you sure, Mr. President?"
What I've heard from my sources is that she's one of the most powerful people in the White House. Why? She prints out these articles and hands them to the president, and that's his inflow of news. She has a hugely tight control about the content that he takes in on a day-to-day basis.
It makes sense because, as we know, with Trump, loyalty comes number one. She's even been spotted chasing his golf cart on foot to deliver articles.
This woman, I think, had some sort of form of cancer and credits Trump with saving her life because of the right to try, which is an order that he had enabling patients to get access to treatments that weren't necessarily approved or finalized yet. So she has this huge love for the president for literally saving her life.
See, he doesn't want to do the job. He wants to build his ballroom and travel with Natalie.
Who the hell is Natalie? Meet Natalie Harp, Trump's 34-year-old executive assistant who's widely known to have this infatuation with the president. She's been in Trump's orbit since the 2020 Republican National Convention, where she publicly credited his right to try legislation with saving her life amid a battle with bone cancer. By 2022, she was following Trump around golf courses with a portable printer, handing him hard copies of far-right news updates, old articles praising him, Truth Social posts posts he should respond to, and more. Her campaign colleagues dubbed her the human printer and expressed concern around her proximity to the president. Harp reportedly gets her news from the Gateway Pundit, a far-right conspiracy site that Trump's inner circle worries could misinform the president. It got to the point where staff reportedly tried to create some distance between Harp and Trump in the summer of 2024 to deal with the Natalie situation by not giving her a room at Trump's Bedminster golf course while he was staying there. But undeterred, she reportedly moved into the women's locker room to stay close to him. She's also reportedly written him multiple adoring letters. In one she wrote, "You have the absolute right to cuss me out if need be, when I deserve it, because no one knows or cares about me more." In another, she told him, "You are all that matters to me," which apparently left the White House Chief of Staff Susie Wiles' jaw on the floor. But Trump loves it. He reportedly told staffers, "All of you will go off and make money. She'll never leave me." Trump even trusts her so much he lets her post from his accounts, per the Wall Street Journal. Those middle-of-the-night Truth Social crash outs, apparently Natalie. She was reportedly behind Trump's racist Truth Social post depicting the Obamas as apes. So if you ever want to get the president's attention, or just have an idea for a poorly timed, overtly racist Truth Social post, you know exactly who to call.
MAGA insider are panicking over Natalie's situation with Donald Trump. This is what is happening. She has been eating taxpayers' money, yet she's always spending her time in the room sleeping.
MAGA insiders are panicking over the Natalie situation. Natalie Harp just did something freaking crazy to stay close to Trump, and we got to talk about it. So, working in MAGA politics, it usually requires people to abandon any sort of ethical standards. We know this. They have to in order to defend terrible policies and pedophiles. Most Republican aides, however, usually just lie through their little Caroline Levitt lips and go home to a 60-year-old landlord and call it a day. Natalie Harp, on the other hand, decided normal levels of sycophancy were not enough. She gave up her lease to sleep someplace damp and communal, someplace that you might probably find Stephen Miller dwelling. That's his kind of domain. But I'm going to expose this Trump aide for their major sleeping secret. It's disgusting. And that's not even the weirdest part, because then she started to change her actual face. And I'm not talking about like bone smashing or look smaxing kind of shit. Much weirder. She has a fully developed prefrontal cortex. Her coworkers had to watch her start to slowly morph into a very specific person. She wasn't just trying to like improve or enhance her appearance. She was trying to become somebody else. And she was trying to become a very specific person. She bought their matching wardrobes. She got the same exact hair. Natalie did this, again, as a fully grown adult, physically altering her own biology, her own look, not to match a new identity, but to become somebody else, just so she could stand next to a fat, adult fascist. Donnie Dump.
Look, it's the summer. Some people are dialed out and maybe you aren't paying attention, but you might be hearing or have been hearing the name Natalie Harp lately. So let me just catch you up on this, okay? She's 35, officially a White House executive assistant. Unofficially, she's basically Trump's shadow. Wherever he goes, she goes. She's even been nicknamed the human printer because she reportedly carries around a portable printer, printing out positive stories and information for Trump, basically to boost his ego. Now Georgia Senator Jon Ossoff is openly mocking just how close the two appear to be. Watch this.
He wants to build his ballroom and travel with Natalie on their apparently defenseless flying palace gifted by the Emir of Qatar.
Okay, and adding to all of this, the New York Times has reported that Harp wrote Trump letters saying, "You are all that matters to me and I want to bring you joy." Look, I'm not going to speculate about anybody's personal life, not my business, but this is an unusually close relationship between the President of the United States and a White House aide. And now a sitting U.S. Senator is talking about it publicly. So yeah, people are asking questions like, where's Melania in all this? I'm just saying. Because would you be okay with your man, someone writing that to him? I'm just saying. Not my business, though.
We're learning more about Natalie Harp, Donald Trump's 35-year-old aide, and their close relationship with one another. According to latest reporting, Natalie Harp spent a summer sleeping in a locker room at the Bedminster Trump Golf Club. Why? She wanted to remain close to him even after she was denied a room in the club. According to The Cut, which cited an excerpt from Michael Wolff's book, Natalie Harp was so wholly committed to Trump that she spent a summer living in a, quote, golf club locker room just to be closer to him. Apparently, this is according to this reporting, Harp wasn't given a room at the Bedminster Golf Club. Some within Trump's orbit seemingly wanted to push her out for whatever reason. According to the book, it writes, quote, she had reached out to the ground staff at the country club and gotten herself a maid's room. Now, this comes as there's so many conversations swirling about Natalie Harp to the point where a United States Senator, John Ossoff, called out the president for traveling with Harp on this decoy Air Force One. Remember, Harp was one of the 3 staffers who Trump took with him when he was escaping the Iranian assassination plot. And we have seen how Harp appears almost everywhere with the president these days. And there are many questions, even among MAGA online, about what is this relationship Trump has with Harp? And why does she have so much access to this president? It's all very odd, but that is the reporting. Feel free to go read more of it for yourself. Spread the word, follow for more.
Hello, listen. We talk a lot about mental illness, right? We talk about it. We throw terms around. I follow several providers, medical professionals. I've been to therapy myself. I'm sure many of you have been to therapy. But that's not what I want to talk about. The way I had to come share this story with y'all. So, we've all talked about Natalie Harp, right? The lady they call the human printer. Josh Moskowitz, I think it was, and maybe John Ossoff called her his human binky. Okay. Why is there a report that a few years ago, when she started working for him, she decided that she was going to stay at Bedminster, one of his golf clubs, country club, whatever, and attempted to have housing arranged. But by the time they did all of that, they didn't have any space available for her, as a guest, per se. So they arranged for her to stay in the maid quarters. Well, apparently she turned that down because it wasn't close enough for her to get to see it if he needed her. They are reporting that this woman lived in the woman's locker room. So, I need all the therapists, psychiatrists, psychologists, spiritualists, all the ists. I need y'all to come to the front and help us on here diagnose what's wrong with this lady. Because I can understand infatuation. I can understand a secret crush. I can understand lust. I cannot understand any of that as it relates to sin. I need somebody to please step to the front and explain that to us. Because clearly this young woman needs help. And a lot of it. And quickly. Okay, that's it. I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. I'll see y'all tomorrow.
She'll never leave me. That's what Donald Trump says about his close aide, Natalie Harp. You're all that matters to me. That's what Natalie Harp wrote to Donald Trump on a private note in a private area that Susie Wiles found several years ago. Natalie Harp is the center of Donald Trump's world. Donald Trump, seemingly, is the center of Natalie Harp's world. Tonight, Senator John Ossoff called this out directly. Watch this moment.
And while the sailors on the Lincoln fight his war, while he fruitlessly drains our munitions and oil reserves, the president sleeps through his meetings. He golfs and trades stocks. See, he doesn't want to do the job. He wants to build his ballroom and travel with Natalie on their apparently defenseless flying palace.
The relationship the president has with Natalie Harp is odd to say the least. Now he's getting called out by it by members of Congress. Spread the word. Follow for more.
Trump's executive assistant, Natalie Harp, who began working for Trump at Mar-a-Lago in the first months after he left the White House, the book writes about her. Okay, it says, Harp wrote Trump adoring letters that she left in his personal spaces, including one that read, quote, "You are all that matters to me." Okay. What do you make of this, Lulu, in the context of all the things? I'm not asking you to weigh in. Take this first. Take this first. But I guess what we're asking here, okay, is the way that Trump can exert control over people around him that continues to surprise people.
So I don't want to talk too much about this young woman because I think there's a real power differential there, and I don't know what that relationship actually looks like. What I can say that this anecdote does show is that President Trump requires and admires that kind of complete blind
fealty and submission.
Fealty and submission.
That's
I
right.
mean, it's like that. I think most people, if you had an employee, because that's what she is, leaving you letters in your personal space telling you that you are the most important thing in your life, you would say, you know what, hon, I think you need to take a vacation. But he instead finds this to be incredibly affirming. And that says more about him than it does about her.
Right. I think that's an interesting point about it, though.
It's on
that he would
Definitely.
expect this and demand this.
Yeah, it's on brand. And I think it's even more troubling because it shows that he's surrounding himself with people who adore him. There are no conflicting ideas. There's no one challenging him. So if he wants to do something like bomb Iran, or he wants to do something like use a nuke, or he wants to do something like take out Venezuela, there's not a single voice around him that can offer any kind of contrast or challenge, all the way down to his assistant. Everyone is in this circle of sycophants.
Is Donald Trump having a secret affair? Well, this is Natalie Harp. She's recently been going viral for photos like this. Intense fawning, eyes locked on the president, and always just feet away from him, right at his beck and call. It looks as if she loves him more than his wife, and according to Trump, she does. Harp is a former right-wing cable host who landed on Trump's radar in 2019 after her cancer survival story caught his attention. She credited his right to try law with saving her life.
Mr. President, I wouldn't be alive today if it wasn't for you.
And has acted like it ever since. Fast forward to 22, and Harp landed a role as an aide to the president with a very unusual job, the human printer. And the job description, well, that's handing Trump a steady stream of flattering, often false lines held together by gold paper clips, and even chasing down his golf cart on the course to deliver good news. But since landing her job in the White House, Harp's relationship with Trump has only grown stranger. In 2023, the New York Times reported that Harp wrote Trump letters that unnerved his inner circle, including the line, "You are all that matters to me." And per further reporting, the Secret Service even advised that she was a potential danger to herself and the president. She allegedly even offered to go to prison for him during his trial. And despite the Secret Service's warnings, Harp's proximity to Trump has only gotten closer. She literally watches his every move and is always just steps behind him, carrying a bag full of his belongings and allegedly diapers. I mean, it's allegedly, but we must say it, diapers. And Trump's response to all of this, well, she, quote, just loves her president. That much is clear. But truly, what is going on here? Is Harp just Trump's obsessed assistant, his hospice nurse, or something else? Is she perhaps trying to replace Melania? One thing's for sure, she's not going anywhere.
Rumors are exploding that Donald Trump may be having an affair with his 35-year-old assistant, Natalie Harp. We do not have evidence at this point in time that Donald Trump is dating his 35-year-old assistant, Natalie Harp. Remember, Natalie Harp is the individual who has a portable printer, and she'll print out tweets that Trump might like to see and leaves him little notes around the residence. She has said stuff about how she won't abandon Trump, and Trump has said she's the only one who'll stick with me. We now are in a situation where there are growing rumors that this may be more than simply a work relationship. Now, I am not alleging to have knowledge that that is the case, but I am reporting to you that these are topics that are being discussed. It turns out when Trump was secretly moved from Air Force One in Turkey because of that Iranian assassination threat, Harp was among the teeny tiny group of people that was taken with Donald Trump. Cabinet officials, including the Secretary of State Marco Rubio, stayed on the plane that was believed to be a target of the Iranians. It doesn't prove that there is romance, but she was chosen over Marco Rubio to go on the safe plane and to get Trump away from danger. Trump has told staff, she's the only person who loves me as much as my wife and kids. All of you will go off and make money, but she is never going to leave me. Still not evidence of an affair, but this is sort of building into, is something going on here? Now, what I believe is the most consequential issue, it's not whether Trump is having yet another affair. He's had who the hell knows how many at this point in time. The more consequential issue is Harp's influence. She is known as the human printer. As I told you, she gives Trump these flattering stories and tweets. She prints them out. She will sit nearby, fulfilling requests for Trump on a whim. And by late 2025, she had the most control over Trump's Truth Social account, a Truth Social account that is affecting foreign policy and that is also moving markets. She also is controlling what information even gets to Donald Trump and what is published under his name. Now, we don't have evidence right now that Trump is dating Natalie Harp. The documented reality is of an unusually devoted aide with extraordinary personal and informational access. And the hypocrisy is really the story. Trump may be dating her, he may not. The reaction is what exposes the truth, which is that for Trump's evangelical supporters, personal morality is not a standard applied to their leader, it's a weapon applied to everybody else. That is a feature of cults.
Kama is striking hard on Donald Trump, and whenever they ask him about his closeness with Natalie Harp, is saying fake news. See how Trump is blasting a CNN journalist called Christina because she asked about Trump's aide, Natalie Harp. So let us watch what these guys are reacting. But I think Trump, this is going to cause a lot of problems because I'm sure they are going to investigate why this person is getting paid, but she's not doing any work. She spends most of her days sleeping in Donald's room. Let's watch this.
The Trump administration appears to be in full panic mode tonight after Jon Ossoff mentioned Natalie Harp, and they are completely overreacting to it. Now, if you missed it yesterday, Jon Ossoff during his rally was talking about Donald Trump and how he's not focused on the job, how he's looking at all these other things other than the American people, and added this.
He wants to build his ballroom and travel with Natalie on their apparently defenseless flying palace gifted by the Emir of Qatar.
Yeah, that's all he said. And today, the Trump administration is going nuts, suggesting that he was accusing them of having an affair when he said nothing of the sort. He was talking about the fact that Donald Trump, after apparently being threatened by Iran and had to get on a decoy plane, a safe plane, brought Natalie Harp with him, while the Secretary of State and others were left as bait on Air Force One. It is a completely legitimate point to raise, that why did they feel Natalie Harp had to be protected, but the Secretary of State did not? And instead, the White House is just completely overreacting tonight. Stay tuned.
Old Hollywood trope of an old man and a younger assistant is a trope for a reason. It's a stereotype because we see it all the time. With Trump and Natalie Harp, it's really nothing new. In my opinion, he uses her as his pulse of the outside world. What's going on with the kids today? She's his young person on the team. She's the one that's going to hook him up with all of the things that are going on TikTok and Instagram. She's the one who writes the social media posts for him. She carries around a printer because she knows that's what he's comfortable with. She is there for him, and to be honest, in my opinion, he thinks of her more as a daughter. The fact that he put her on the decoy plane for the quote, attempted assassination means to me that he values her above his most trusted advisors because she's not giving him advice. He's giving her advice. And what do older people, no offense, sorry, like more in this world? Giving younger people advice. A man so completely obsessed with his outward appearance, he would wear an actual rat on his head to make it look like he's not losing his hair. He would paint his skin with self-tanner and makeup to make it look like he's, quote, healthier. You don't think this man wants to stay young at any cost possible? This is his lifeline to the outside world. This is his measurement of what's going on with the kids. To him, 36 is young, so she's got a pulse of what's going on with the youngsters. You know what I'm saying? It's a classic trope for a reason. And
Who do you think he'd have taken with him had Melania been on that plane? Because he took his personal fluffer, Natalie Harper, on the catering truck and left everybody else to die a horrible death. I mean, nothing happened, but that's how fucked up his priorities are. He has to have someone around to call him pretty and write him love notes and diddle his neck badge, and to hell with the rest of you losers. I mean, I get why he would abandon Stephen Miller. He's like Dr. Evil and spoiled mayonnaise had a baby and then tried to flush it down the toilet. But that's one cold motherfucker to leave the rest of them sitting there with their thumbs up their asses thinking, I don't smell McDonald's and shitty diapers anymore. What's going on? I'll tell you what's going on. He grabbed his emotional support hussy and got the hell out of Dodge while snacking on some canapes along the way. He don't give a good goddamn about nobody but himself. Personally, I think he'd have left his whole family on the plane because his ego needs at least 3 seats.
Finally, we have figured out what Trump's kryptonite is, and it appears to be his aide, Natalie Harp. That's right, the young girl who he has an inappropriate relationship, from all accounts, is the one that he is losing his mind over now that we are all reporting on their bizarre relationship, what she may or may not be doing for him, and all of it. And it is sending Trump into a rage and a complete, utter freakout, and the White House is scrambling. Now, Natalie Harp, according to Maggie Haberman from the New York Times, has a new nickname. She's supposedly being called now the human binky for Trump. Can you believe that? This is just embarrassing at this point. And where the hell is Melania? She hasn't been seen for almost as long as Mitch McConnell. Where is Melania in all this? She certainly is not living at the White House. From all accounts I've heard, is she's living in New York City. What makes this story even more bizarre today is biographer Michael Wolff is reporting that Natalie Harp had spent a summer sleeping in the women's locker room at Trump's Bedminster Golf Club just so she could be close to him to answer his calls. I'm sure if everyone shared this and we kept this conversation going, it'll trigger Trump into some sort of Truth Social meltdown. Or will it be Natalie Harp making the posts? Let me know what you guys think about this in the comments. Like, share, spread the word, follow along for more, and I'll see you back here for the 411.
Okay, this story sounds completely made up, except it isn't. So Donald Trump's staff reportedly became so concerned about one particular aide's closeness to him that they actually tried to create some distance between them. And that I'm talking about Natalie Harp, of course. She's Trump's executive assistant, the woman you may have seen following him around with a portable printer, which earned her the nickname, the human printer. But according to journalist Michael Wolff, back in the summer of 2023, Trump's team had a problem they referred to as the Natalie situation. Trump was spending the summer at his Bedminster Golf Club in New Jersey. And according to Wolff, staff deliberately did not give Harp accommodations there. Basically, to create some distance. Except Natalie found herself a room anyway. She reportedly contacted the club staff and arranged to stay in the maid's room. But apparently that wasn't close enough to Trump's main residence for her to respond quickly when he called. So, according to Wolff, she moved into the woman's locker room and reportedly spent the summer there. But here's where this gets even stranger. Other reporting about Harp doesn't come just from Wolff. New York Times reporters Maggie Haberman and Jonathan Swan reported that Harp wrote Trump a series of extraordinary personal letters. In one, she reportedly told him, "You are all that matters to me." In another, she thanked Trump for being her guardian and protector in this life. And according to their reporting, some of these notes were left in Trump's private spaces. Jonathan Swan has said the letters even raised eyebrows among members of the Secret Service. And today, Natalie Harp isn't some random person hanging around Trump's golf club. She's one of the people closest to the president. She sits in Oval Office meetings. She travels with him. She obviously prints the articles Trump reads. And she has been deeply involved with his Truth Social operation. Now, because the internet is the internet, people are already speculating about whether there's some kind of romantic relationship here. Well, we have no evidence to establish that. And frankly, we don't need to invent one. But there's something going on there. Yeah.
Anyway, thank you for watching the Mighty Great Minds Black. See you in the next video. Do you think Donald will survive this Natalie situation?
Thank you for watching Great Minds Black.